Hello! Welcome to Tap That MTG, the show where we tell you everything we know about magic that's getting to be more right.
Oh, yeah.
But always fun to talk about.
Always.
I'm Shauna.
I'm Leslie.
And today we are bringing you another Brawl deck, Throne of Eldraine Brawl deck deep dive. Commander deck. This one is called Savage Hunter.
Savage.
And in our video, we're going to be going through what's in this deck as far as card draw, removal, all those staples that we need, plus some of the stuff that's specific to this deck and its theme. And if you hang in there long enough, we will tell you a little bit about what kinds of cards we might add to ours when we get them.
Tweaky.
Yeah. So, what the heck is Brawl? I don't even know. What is it?
Let me tell you. Brawl is a form of commander. You still build a deck with a commander. Has to be legendary, so that rule still applies. Okay. The rule for commander about having only one card of the same name in your deck still applies. Okay. The difference, however, is that it's only a 60-card deck, and it has to be standard legal. Okay. So a little bit more kind of
fewer cards to choose from.
Cards to choose from. However, you only start with 30 life if you're in a multiplayer, 25 life if you're in 1 versus 1. So this format actually makes it a little bit easier to play a commander type game one-on-one. So if you only have that one other person to play with, that might help you out. Okay. What else can I tell you? Oh, commander tax still applies. How your commander works still applies. Multiplayer rules still apply. The thing that doesn't really apply is commander damage. We don't use that anymore. Okay. And so, that's the basics of Brawl.
Sounds like fun.
It does. And are you looking forward to these decks? I'm looking forward to them too.
I played it on Arena. It was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't really like, yay, Brawl, when it first came out and they started talking about it. I'm like, why can't they just leave things alone? But I'm warming up to it, especially with these decks. They seem fun.
Mm-hmm. So another way to use your collection of cards.
Yeah. Who's our commander?
Our commander is poor old Corvald, the Fae Cursed King. He has been cursed by the Fae, and he is a dragon noble who is a 4/4 flyer that costs 2 and a black and a red and a green. So those are your commander colors, black and red and green. And he has flying, so that's really nice. Mm-hmm. And whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you have to sacrifice another creature. That sounds not good, right? It does sound not good.
Why would you sacrifice a creature?
Because whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Corvald, the Fae, and draw a card.
Oh, it's permanent too. So could that be
permanent?
Land?
It could be land. It could be those food tokens if you happen to make food tokens, which is a thing in this set. Could be lots of different things.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to diving deeper into this.
So the point of this deck is all about things dying and making him bigger. Because, you get a counter and a drawing a card, which is really nice.
Before we talk about the cards in this deck, why don't we talk about things like mana curve and colors and whatnot? So in this deck, we have 60 cards, as we talked about, 25 of which are land. So put a pin in that, because that's too many land for a 60-card deck. And
in our opinion.
Wizards, I think, does this. Now, they could, if they watch this video, because I'm sure that they do, they could correct me if I'm wrong. But they put the extra land in there so you have some room to tweak. So typically 23, no more than 24 land. So you could take out a couple of land and put in something that you want to put in later. So you don't have to take out the good cards that they put in here. There is 1 at 1 mana cost, 9 at 2 mana cost, 9 at 3 mana cost, 7 at 4 mana cost, and then we're getting into the bigger stuff. 5 at 5 mana cost, 3 at 6, and 1 at 7. So there are quite a few cards in this that are above 4 or higher. But there is some good ramp and some good kind of decent cards for kind of getting you where that you need to go in this deck. So still on curve.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a little slower of a deck, but that's because you're setting up for that whole death thing.
And I think with this deck, if I remember correctly from looking at it when we were discussing it earlier, it's one of those decks that this is probably a better one for multiplayer, not one versus one.
Yeah.
Whereas the night one, definitely better for 1v1
yeah.
because it's super aggressive.
Yeah.
So, what about colors?
The colors, fairly, there's only a little bit of a splash of red in this, and then you have a lot of the multicolor. Sorry, I got to put my glasses down so I can see. There's a tiny little bit of red. Is only 3 cards are red. Then there's 10 black and 7 green, and then a lot of multicolor cards. So 12 multicolored cards in it. So that's interesting to note.
And will come into play when we talk about our tweaks.
Yes.
So instant sorceries, all that fun stuff. We talked about already 25 lands. As far as instants go, there's only 2 instants. There are 4 artifacts, 1 planeswalker. I think this is the only one that has a planeswalker. Nice little group. There are 23 creatures in this deck, 2 sorceries and 3 enchantments. So very creature heavy,
Yep.
and that is because you will probably be sacrificing those creatures.
They need to die.
And we have some themes called "It's Okay to Be Dead" because it's okay to be dead. But our first section is one of the most important sections. Or
yes, you need
in
cards
Commander
in your hand.
Yeah. So what are we talking about?
So card draw. Yeah. So our first one that we have for you today is one of those multicolored ones. It's Moldervine Reclamation for 3, a green and a black. This is an enchantment that sits out there, and whenever a creature you control dies, you gain 1 life and draw a card. So there is another. So you're losing life because your creatures are dying, but you get to gain life and you get to draw cards as well. So this is helpful for sure.
Another great card that's coming out with Throne of Eldraine is Keeper of Fables. I've had the chance to play with this.
Have you?
Yes, it was in my pre-release.
Oh, wow.
3 and 2 green for a 4/5 cat. And whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Just by itself, it is a 4/5 cat creature, and it does a lot of either blocking or attacking. If it does combat damage, you get to draw a card. And if you have flyers or you have anything that has trample, you're always going to get through and whatnot. So great card for card draw.
And then that's it.
That's it, though, for card draw.
Yeah, plus your commander, of course.
Yeah.
So then we're into the removal. And this guy here, pretty much if you play him, you win the game. The Thorn Mammoth for 5 and 2 green. He is a 6/6 Elefante. He's huge. He's going to trample over everything. He has trample. And whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield, another creature, so it could be a token creature, under your control, a Thorn Mammoth fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So he is going to fight for you. He doesn't have to. Every time one of those tokens comes in, he's going to get rid of some of their stuff. It's really fun.
And baked into a pie is our first. Is it our first black one?
I think so.
2 and 2 black for an instant. Destroy target creature. Just straight up 4 mana. Destroy target creature, and then you get the benefit of creating a food token, which is a thing that you can sacrifice as a permanent.
Yep.
So, I think that's worth it for. In this deck, especially for that extra mana, if you think of murder as an example, you can destroy target creature with murder.
Yep.
But just getting that food token on the battlefield.
And food tokens, for those of you who don't know, you can use them to sacrifice their artifacts. Or you can pay 2 and tap and sacrifice it and gain life. So 3 life you actually get to gain from that. So that helps with that.
And it helps. Yeah, keeps you in the game if you need it, right?
And another card that I like to use a lot in my black decks, and it is Plague Crafter. For 2 and a black, it's a 3/2 human shaman, and when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. That's a good planeswalker removal right there. Each player who can't discards a card. So you're messing with their hand. Save it for removal of their creatures, though. And then you, of course, then one of your creatures dies, but it's dying is a good thing in this deck.
You can sacrifice it to itself if you have
Yes.
to. But it would
Exactly.
be better to have a
some
random
little guy.
1/1.
Some little guy.
Like this one, Goblin
Yeah.
Crate Maker. It's a 2/2 for 2. It's a Goblin Bear. Actually, it's a Goblin Warrior, but you can sacrifice it and it deals 2 damage to target creature or destroy target colorless non-land permanent. So you can destroy an artifact, which is great because most of them are colorless. Not all of them in Throne of Eldraine though. But it's just a nice filler card 2/2 and it does 2 damage when you need it to. So.
Yep. Another staple, he has been around for a little while, this Thrashing Brontodon. They've got him in M20 again because he's such an awesome dinosaur. He is 1 and 2 green, is 3/4. So he's just good just as a big dinosaur coming in there. But you can pay 1 and sacrifice him and destroy a target artifact or enchantment. When you're playing Commander or Brawl, you need to destroy enchantments.
Yes. Especially if you're playing against fairies. They have a lot of enchantments.
Yes.
So Find or Finality is our first split card. So how split cards work, for those that don't know, is you choose when it's in your hand whether to cast the one on the left or the one on the right. Once you've cast it, you can't recast it. Or you can't choose the other one unless there's a way to bring it back to your hand. So Find is for 2 hybrid mana, black-green, and you can return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So get them back if you need them. And Finality is 4 and a black and a green. And in this case, you're going to put 2 1/1 counters on a creature that you control, and then all creatures, including your own, get -4/-4 until the end of turn. So hopefully you're going to play that when you have some big beefy creatures out so that you don't lose your entire board as well. But at the very least, you can keep at least one of your creatures, hopefully. I have accidentally done that and put 2 1/1 counters. Whoops. You know what? Actually, I don't think it was an accident. I think at the time it was like, I had to board wipe. And so it was just, I guess I'm going to lose them all, including the one I put counters on. But sometimes you got to do that.
Yep.
Hopefully you don't. So there's your board wipe there.
And then when a specific board wipe here, or not board wipe, a specific removal card here is Death Sprout for 1, 2 black and a green. It's an instant and destroy target creature. And then you get to search your library for a basic land card and put it on battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. So it does a little bit of mana fixing at the same time, which is nice. Doesn't give them one like Assassin's Trophy does. So,
although I think that's one of our recommendations. I can't remember.
Yep.
All right, so now we're into tokens, and more tokens. So these are the things that you're going to create, that you're going to sacrifice when you need to sacrifice them. There's a lot of token creators in this. Not a lot of card removal or card draw and removal, but this deck is definitely on theme. So the first one is Angrath, Captain of Chaos, for 2, and then 2 red-black hybrid mana. And he's a 5 mana or 5 loyalty planeswalker. And creatures that you control have menace, all of them. And when he comes in, you can -2 him to amass 2, which gets you a little token army, zombie army token with basically 2 1/1 counters on it. The next turn, if you've already sacrificed it, you create another one, or you make it a 4/4 token army. So yeah, I love Angrath. He's a good little token generator.
He's a family man.
Yeah.
Cranko Tin Street Kingpin is not. He's a bad boy. But he's fun in this deck.
He's just misunderstood.
He's misunderstood, yeah. He's for 2 and a red, a goblin, a 1/2 goblin. But whenever he attacks, put a 1/1 counter on him. And then you create a number of 1/1 red goblin tokens equal to his power. So right away you're getting 2, possibly more, depending on what you have going on. So that's a great way to make goblin tokens.
And right on the back to the amass train, Dreadhorde Invasion. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life, but you're going to amass 1. So that token army that you created, or zombie army that you created, you're going to just keep making it bigger and bigger. unless you've sacrificed it. I would recommend maybe not sacrificing your army if you have this out. Here's why. You're going to keep losing life until you gain it. If you let this get big enough, once it has
It's not even that big that it has
or
to get.
great, once it's got 6 counters on it, it gains lifelink until the end of turn. So every time you attack, and as it gets bigger and bigger, it's just going to keep gaining your life, get harder and harder to get rid of. So if you can once you put this on the battlefield, I would recommend trying to protect that zombie army if you can.
A lot of people don't, and I just let them lead.
Mm-hmm.
I
I made the
picking at
mistake
it.
once of putting 2 of these out.
Well, actually, that's not a bad plan because then it gets to 6.
Except for
3
they had a
turns.
lot of removal.
Oh, that's not a good
And they kept removing it, and
that's
I
not a good
died
thing.
from my own triggers.
Dreaded. Oh boy. Sorry, Leslie.
Good job, person that I was playing on Arena.
Knew what that card could
Yep.
do. Alrighty, and then there's this little card that I think is an underestimated little dude, Woodland Champion. He is definitely useful in this deck because you're making so many tokens. He's for 1 and a green, he's a 2/2, and whenever 1 or more tokens enters the battlefield under your control, put that many 1/1 counters on Woodland Champion. So he is a good little workhorse for you. He can potentially get pretty big pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Even just with him and Krenko, he becomes
Oh my gosh.
a 4/4. Pretty quick.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Chittering Witch, another Throne of Eldraine human warlock for 3 and a black. She enters the battlefield and creates a number of 1/1 black rat creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you control. So remember we said this is a better one to do in group games. You should probably be in a 4-player game for this. You create 4 black rat creature tokens. They don't have death touch. Black rats normally have death touch, so that's something to remember. Don't errata. I just was playing this and just assumed they had death touch, but they didn't. Don't make. I'm just trying to help you not make the same mistakes I make,
yeah.
which is a lot.
Oh,
Also, for
That's
1
good.
and a black, you can sacrifice a creature and target creature gets -2/-2 till the end of turn. So all those tokens that you have, you can sacrifice them and give something -2. If you have enough mana, you can do this multiple times to get rid of their indestructible thing or just their little things over and over again.
Yep. It's kind of handy. Taste of Death for 4 and 2 black. Another one from Throne of Eldraine. I love the artwork on this.
Mm-hmm.
Poison apples. Each player, it's a sorcery, each player sacrifices 3 creatures. You create 3 food tokens. So you're already on the sacrifice mode, so it doesn't matter to you, but it certainly matters to your opponent. For sure, they're not going to want to sacrifice 3 creatures. And that's pretty darn good for 6 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they have paid a lot of mana to get some of those creatures out. And you're getting rid of them for...
So, question for you, rules-wise.
Yep.
Sorry, can you go back up?
Yep.
If I cast this, each player sacrifices 3 creatures, and you create 3 food tokens. Obviously, that's you sacrificing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Chittering Witch on the battlefield, and she allows you to pay 2 to sacrifice a creature, so that creatures get -2/-2. Can you use the sacrifice creatures that you are sacrificing to this sorcery for this as well?
No. It can only be for 1 sacrifice instant, basically. So you have to pick which one you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think you also have to have 3 creatures in this case with this card.
Mhm.
It's not up to, it doesn't say up to 3 creatures, so you have to have 3 creatures and they have to have 3 creatures. So that is another issue with that card.
Do they? Because it doesn't say target.
Each player sacrifices 3 creatures.
Yeah, it doesn't say up to. Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't say up to.
Gluttonous Troll for 2 and a black and a green. It is a 3/3 with trample, and it enters the battlefield with a number of food tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. Again, you have 4. You get 4 food tokens with it. You can pay 1 and a green to sacrifice another non-land permanent. Could be a food token, could be a token. Gluttonous Troll gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Kind of wish that was a counter, but no, can't be too powerful.
Yeah, really. He's a troll. You don't want him to be very powerful. Ugh. This little card, Savage Hunter, for 1, a green and a black. I really like this card. It is a 3/3, and whenever it attacks or blocks, create a food token. You're going to see him in my standard deck quite a bit, or her in my standard deck quite a bit. I have 4. And you'll see that in the
What can you do when you sacrifice food tokens with her?
You can sacrifice 2 of them and draw a card.
Yes. So we put her in this one because she creates tokens over and over again, but she can also be in the card draw section.
Yeah, she is so good.
And the last one in this section is Witch's Oven. You can sacrifice a creature to create a food token. If you sacrifice a big beefy creature that has a power of 4 or greater, then you get to create 2 food tokens instead. So not a lot of big beefy creatures yet that we've seen, but nice little food token generator there.
Yeah. All right, now we're into the It's Okay to Be Dead section.
It's okay to be dead.
So these cards are ones that, so you've got all this stuff dying. What is the benefit? And these cards here in this section are going to show you what benefit it is of this stuff.
When you sacrifice a creature, it dies.
Yes. That's important. So Priest of Forgotten Gods for 1 and a black. This is a little sacrifice outlet as well. 1 and a 2. You can tap her and sacrifice 2 other creatures, and any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. So you're hurting them a lot with this card, and you add 2 black mana and you get to draw a card. So that's really, really helpful. You just keep doing that over and over again.
Yeah, and Judith, the Scourge Diva, for 1 and a black and a red, is also a great card for this. Other creatures you control get +1/+0, so she makes them really aggressive. And when another non-token creature you control dies, Judith, the Scourge Diva, deals 1 damage to the target any target. So you have 4 goblins that you just sacrificed in order to do whatever sacrificing thing that you needed to do, and now you have 4 damage that you can allocate anywhere.
Yep. So good.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of her right away if you see her on the board. Orzhov Enforcer. It's a 1/2 for 1 and a black. It's a little human rogue with Death Touch. I like him a lot. It gets people to back off. And he has Afterlife of 1, so he makes a 1/1 spirit token when he dies. So he makes another token, replaces himself.
That's nice. This one is perfect for this deck. Vindictive Vampire for 3 and a black. When another creature you control dies, Vindictive Vampire deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. So not only are you doing 1 damage from Judith, you have this on the battlefield and you're doing an additional damage because it triggers separately, and you gain a life off of it for every one of those creatures you sacrificed. The thing with all of these though too, we've been talking a lot about sacrificing a permanent, and that being food tokens. Food tokens are not creatures unless Oko has made them into a creature.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Just know what they are.
Yep. Then we also have the Golgari Findbroker for 2 black and 2 green, a 3/4 elf shaman, and when it enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, it died. Judith died. Whoever died.
The Orzhov Enforcer.
Bring her back. The Orzhov Enforcer.
Created your little token.
Bring it back. Bring it back. With this little shaman, and yeah, it's just great.
And then Mayhem Devil.
He is crazy.
Is 1 and a black and a red for a 3/3 devil. When a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. This one triggers, doesn't matter which one you sacrifice. It is separate because it's just when you sacrifice it, and this whole deck is about sacrificing permanents. So,
and if you make them sacrifice stuff, it does damage for them too.
Yeah. Whenever a player.
He is insane. He's so annoying when he comes out.
So
on
annoying.
The other side of the table.
It's too bad you can only have 1.
Oh, he's good.
It's good that you can only have 1.
Yes. Then we've got Sir Conrad the Grim, who is a 5/4. He's very sad. He's just, it's all about death for him. 3 and 2 black. Bohemian Knight. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. So yeah, when you're bringing something back from the graveyard, when you're putting something in a graveyard, when they're bringing their creatures back from a graveyard, they get punished. He is just a pain in the butt. And he's big.
Anything that punishes them.
Mm-hmm. All about punishing them for death.
Now we're on to our other cool cards section, which is just stuff that didn't really fit in the other categories, but they're in there for a reason. So Pollen Bright Druid is a 1 in a green for a 1/1. And when she comes into the battlefield, you can choose either to put a 1/1 counter on a target creature, or you can proliferate. Now, if you'll remember back when we talked about Angrath being in here, he doesn't have any plus abilities. So this is a good way to get your Angrath with a plus, or if you have a creature out on the battlefield still that you just want to make bigger, you can do that. Yeah, anything that has counters on it. If you have a bunch of counters, then proliferate. If you don't have any counters, then give someone a counter.
Yep. Rhythm of the Wild, similar sort of thing. It's 1 in a red and a green. It's an enchantment that says creature spells you control can't be countered. So that's really nice. And your non-token creatures you control have Riot. So that is a way to get counters onto creatures when they come in. So you can choose, with Riot, you choose between whether you want a creature to have haste or whether you want it to have a counter. So it depends who you're up against, what you want to do. And
if you get this in your
situation.
opening hand, keep it.
Yeah, it's so useful.
Because with this deck, like just being able to have those options.
Yeah.
So another section that's really important when you're playing any or building any commander deck is the ability to fix your mana so that you get the mana that you want when you need it. So we have a Rapacious Dragon for 4 and red. It is a flying 3/3, and when it enters the battlefield, you create 2 treasure tokens. Now, the treasure tokens can be sacrificed for any color of mana. So if you didn't draw, because it is a 3-color deck, sometimes that's hard, especially with 60 cards. You can get that mana that you need.
Yep. This next card, Evolution Sage for 2 and a green. It's a 3/2 elf druid, and this isn't so much mana fixing as just a bonus for having lots of mana. So whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to proliferate. So it's another proliferate engine. It's getting you more counters every time a land comes in.
It's in the other cool card section too.
Yeah.
And then Paradise Druid. I love this card. It's in so many of my green decks. 1 and a green for a 2/1. Paradise Druid has hexproof as long as it's untapped, and you basically just tap it to add 1 of any color. Any color. Yep. It's not a mana dork that has just green. Love it.
I have it in that deck you're going to see in the future. Leyline Prowler. It's for 1, a green, and a black. It's a 2/3 Nightmare Beast with Death Touch and Lifelink. So it's kind of removal too and keeps you alive. But you can tap him and add a mana of any color, which is really handy.
Yeah. That is going to be there too. Sorry.
Yeah. We're talking standard decks too, right?
Yeah.
I have that in our brains for the new standard.
Trying to think brewing up some stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah, we might need to do that.
Yep. So Golden Egg is for 2. It's an artifact food, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. And basically, you could pay 1 and tap it to sacrifice a golden egg. Sacrifice it and add 1 mana of any color. Or you can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice golden egg and gain 3 life. Probably with all the food tokens, you're not going to be using this to gain 3 life, but it's a nice little mana fixing, and it also fits in the draw card category because when it comes in. So 2 benefits there for 2 mana cost.
I totally underestimated this artifact. Totally. Arcane Signet. This is going to be in every commander deck out there. It's a 2 artifact, and you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. So yeah,
it's great.
It's going to be a card that's going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
So get one now.
So as far as land goes, we have 1 of our shock lands. There's 1 in every deck. This one happens to be Stomping Ground. You can have it enter the battlefield untapped if you pay 2 life. That's why it's called shock, because you can shock yourself. Otherwise, you can choose if it's your first one and you don't have anything to play, it can come in tapped, or if it's not the time that you need it, then don't pay your life, whichever you choose. Options are good.
Options are good. And then every deck, I think, has a temple as well. And this one is Temple of Malady. or something like that. It's for black and a green mana, and it is the temples let you scry when they come in. They come in tapped, but they do let you scry, which is really handy. I like that at the beginning of the game.
And there are 3, I believe, that gain you 1 life when it comes in, not 1 mana cost. We have Bloodfell Caves, Jungle Hollow, and Rugged Highlands. They are all 3 of them are dual lands. We have black-red, we have black-green, and we have red-green. So they come in tapped, but they gain you a life.
Yeah. This deck has a Cryptic Caves land in it, which is tap it for colorless mana, and you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to draw a card. And you have to activate that ability only if you control 5 or more lands, so that's just a nice way to use that extra land for a card draw, a little tool there.
Typical commander staple, command tower. Add 1 mana of any color for your commander's color identity, and just getting this deck so you get that card that you can put in other decks is important. I guess that's one thing I'll mention now too. Just because you have 10 commander decks doesn't mean you need 10 copies of Command Tower. It is okay to have a group of cards like your Arcane Signet or your Command Tower, your Evolving Wilds, your Soul Ring as an example, that you move from deck to deck. Of course, Soul Ring isn't standard legal, so you can't put it in this deck. But yeah, I'm surprised that Command Tower is standard.
I guess it is.
Wizards made the deck. I guess it is.
I guess it is. Evolving Wilds is that little land that comes in and does absolutely nothing.
Doesn't do absolutely nothing.
Go search for a land.
That is important.
You get it later on. It's so useless. All right.
All right, we have some guild gates. We have Golgari Guildgate, Gruul Guildgate, and Rakdos Guildgate. All dual lands. They all come in tap. We have black-green, red-green, and black-red. So all the colors you need. Yep.
All right.
Our favorite.
We're down.
Favorite time.
What would we add?
Thank you for sticking with us. If you're still with us, we are tweaking.
Yes. So what would we add to this deck? One of the things that I thought would be really cool in here is Blood Mist Infiltrator. Yeah.
Infiltrator.
Put the emphasis on the wrong spot, okay?
Infiltrator.
He is for 2 and a very aggressive 3/1. And whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, he can't be blocked. So his 1 toughness doesn't matter. He can't be blocked anyways. So I think that would be really good. You're already sacrificing creatures. This is another way to do that.
Things die. Bone Splinters is 1 mana cost, a black. It's a sorcery, and as an additional cost, you sacrifice a creature to destroy a target creature. Doesn't matter that you're sacrificing a creature, because you get benefits from that, and you get to destroy their creature, which is fantastic. So we think this would be a nice little removal card to put in there.
Another card, because you have so much food, and I've played with this card a little bit, Cauldron Familiar. It's a cat. It's awesome.
Kitty.
Leslie loves it. It's a little 1/1, and whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. And then you sacrifice a food, and you can bring it back from graveyard to the battlefield. So getting that whole thing going around and around again, it drives them insane. I've had people quit because of this little cat coming in and out and having more than 1 of them, and I've got all sorts of food, and yeah, it's not very nice.
Fun.
It's very annoying.
Blood for Bones for 3 and a black is another sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, but in this case, instead of destroying a creature, you are going to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, then return another creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So, Cauldron Kitty, you don't even have to sacrifice the food for that. You could just put it back on the battlefield.
What's crazy about Blood for Bones is that second creature that you return to your hand can be the creature that you sacrificed.
Yep.
So, you've got it back right away.
Golgari Finebroker.
It's
Put that back in your hand, bring stuff back. So lots of ways to bring stuff back from your graveyard and just do crazy shenanigans again.
Cavalier of Night. Now this one is a little bit expensive, especially with it's 2 and 3 black, which might be a little bit scary because it's a three-color
deck. Yeah.
But it's a 4/5 lifelinker, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature, and when you do, you get to destroy one of their creatures. So it might be worthwhile. I don't know. Something to think about. When it dies, though, you get to return a creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's just got so many upsides to it. It's really, really tempting to try.
Now, we did just talk about 4 cards that do exactly what this card does that are probably going to be easier to cast, but that's 4 different cards versus 1 card. So if you're looking for just something that does a bunch of stuff, that's why it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
So Devouring Hellion is 2 and a red for a 2/2, which seems really expensive, but as it enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice any number of creatures or planeswalkers. If you do, it enters with twice that many 1/1 counters.
Twice.
So you just sacrifice
a cat.
Or like you have Krenko out. So you have Krenko and he's got 10 goblins. So now you sacrifice 10 goblins. They lose 10 life because you have the devil and Judith out. That's 20 life. And now he enters with 21/1 counters.
Game over.
Just scenarios.
It could happen.
That is a great card.
It's the stuff Magic people talk about. These insane. Yeah, if that happens. I say that to the kids all the time.
Stuff happens.
Yeah,
Stuff.
Yeah, I guess it could happen.
Yeah, I know.
When it does, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
This little guy, Dread Malkin, he is a 1/1 zombie cat for 1 black mana, and he has Menace, which is really cool. And you can pay 2 and another black and sacrifice another creature or planeswalker and put 2 1/1 counters on him. So suddenly he's becoming a big zombie cat who is going to do a lot of damage and hard to get blocked because he has Menace. He's awesome.
Revenge of Ravens for 3 and a black is an enchantment, and whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life and gains 1 life. So this one we put in there because there's a lot of kind of on theme as far as you lose or they lose and you gain. So this kind of works with that synergy.
It makes those
just when they attack,
decks back
the hell off.
There was a game that he couldn't swing at all. Were you watching that one game there on the weekend that he couldn't swing to attack his opponent?
Yes, I played against this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very nice.
It slows. Then you can only attack with 1 at a time because it's like, oh, I guess.
Yeah. It's really difficult.
Gotta hope that you have. I love this card.
Talk about it then.
All right.
Talk about it.
I hate this card. Hyper of the Swarm for 2, 1 and a black. It's a 1/3. Rats you control have Menace, and you can pay 1 and a black to create a 1/1 black.
Tap it.
Yeah, and tap it to create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and then. Once you have enough rats, you can pay 2 and 2 black to tap it and sacrifice 3 rats, which is okay if you're sacrificing rats, to gain control of target creature. So you get the upside of sacrificing stuff from all the other things that are okay with sacrificing. You have 3 rats, you're creating tokens, and you get to steal their stuff. That's a perfect card. Now, you might ask, this is Throne of Eldraine. Why wasn't it put in this deck? Because you can't have all the good cards. You have to figure out some yourself. Yeah. I would definitely recommend this card.
Yeah?
In this deck.
Okay. For lots of reasons. And this guy is going to help you out too. Midnight Reaper for 2 and a black, a 3/2 zombie knight. And whenever a non-token creature you control dies, it does deal 1 damage to you, but you draw a card. So you're hopefully gaining some life. You've got food tokens to help you out with that too. And you're drawing cards. So he has a lot of potential there. You're always getting cards that way.
All right. Garruk, the Cursed Huntsman. Isn't Garruk in the main deck?
No. Not this one.
Who's our planeswalker in this deck?
Angrath.
Right. That's right. Garruk should be in this deck.
Yes.
So Garuk the Cursed Huntsman, 4 and a black and a green. Again, you can't have all the good cards right off the bat. Create some 2/2 black and green wolf tokens with his 0. He has no plus abilities.
To die.
You want them to die because every time one of them dies, you get to gain some loyalty counters. So he starts with 5. The only way he can gain them is when your wolves die, but you can sacrifice them to make them die yourself if they're not killing them off. You can -3 to destroy target creature and draw a card, but it doesn't take him very long to get to 6. All you need is one of your wolves to die, and I would say to sacrifice both those wolves.
Totally.
And then keep them on the battlefield, do his -6, get an emblem, and then get another emblem, and then get another emblem, and all of your creatures have +3/+3 and trample. Like, seriously.
How many emblems do you think you're going to get? Oh my gosh.
Well,
yeah, it's
I
insane.
have high hopes all the time.
It's insane. I've done this. This
pretty
is crazy.
insane. Yeah.
It's awesome. And it happens more easily than you think.
Yes.
Wicked Guardian for 3 and a black, a 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal 2 damage to another creature you control. If you do, draw a card. So you could have it deal damage to your wolves or anything you want to die, or something that you don't necessarily want it to die, but you want to get some card draw. For sure. All right.
Is that it?
And I think it is.
Oh my gosh. That's it. So the other thing we didn't talk about is Assassin's Trophy. We must have forgot to put that one in.
Yes, we did.
You should put Assassin's Trophy in there. It's right on color. It's still standard legal. Destroys target anything. So you get enchantment removal or any permanent that
land
they have.
That's being pesky and
they do get a land, but it's okay. It's worth it sometimes.
It's only basic land.
Yeah, I would say putting Assassin's Trophy in there too would be a really good one.
Especially if someone has put like a castle or something like that in, it's just nice to be able to get rid of that. Like my black castle draws me so many cards. People hate that.
So,
okay,
I would say we probably forgot some stuff.
Yeah.
We would love to hear what you would put in this, how you would tweak it. Are you excited about this deck? What would you just play it as is? Or is there a different deck that you're excited about? Thank you so much for sticking with us. If you'd like to visit our Twitter feed or our YouTube feed, or we are on all of the places that you can listen to podcasts. So wherever you can get your favorite podcast, you can find us there. We're also on Facebook. So come join us. We love to talk to you. And in the meantime, tap those magic cards and have fun doing it.
Thanks,
See you later, guys.